Hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about stuff. Likes on the video are always appreciated. It helps out with my algorithm and helps other people to find my channel easier. I was going to say more, but anyway, yeah. So what I want to say, a gigantic level update. The news that we've been getting has kind of been all over the place across I want to say last month and a half, more or less, with regards to where the market is going, and even more so, the Ethereum ETFs. You might remember, Ethereum ETFs were approved, I believe, sometime in June within the United States. And then we heard that they were going to launch that same exact week. Then the news came back that they weren't going to launch the same exact week that they were approved in June because the SEC had some discrepancies or issues with the filings from some of the companies. The main discrepancy being that they had the word staking inside of it. So you can take your Ether, and stake it into the network to make passive income. But apparently the SEC didn't want that because it would be a securitized version of Ether that had another security inside of it. So maybe there needs to be another ETF completely for that. Then we got news that, and I mean, so mistaken. We assumed that the SEC would have worked on the paperwork and that we were going to have Ethereum ETFs by the 1st of July. That didn't happen. Then the news became on the 2nd of July that by the 8th, they would have been approved, but they were asking the companies to then refile their applications that they had before. This turned into us hearing that on the 14th of July, they were going to be approved, which also didn't happen. So now this brings us to this loop once again. The news is that they're going to be approved in July. It's just a matter of when, like the exact timing of it. And apparently, according to reports, and this is relatively similar, you might remember, relatively similar to what happened for the Bitcoin ETFs. We heard it was going to happen, didn't happen. Heard it was going to happen, didn't happen. Heard it was going to happen, didn't happen. And then we finally got like actual information of it being on that website and all these other things and yada, yada, yada. And these reports from insiders, if you will, then it ended up happening. According to a report from Reuters, citing industry sources, apparently the SEC is only going to, as far as we know from the news, is only going to be approving applications from BlackRock, Van Eck, and Franklin Templeton. No word as to why just those three. I assume it has to do with money. The source says these products will likely receive approval on Monday. That's like this Monday, this upcoming Monday, and we'll begin trading on Tuesday. The financial firms will need to resubmit a bunch of documents to receive the final approval. Apparently, there was another thing inside that we as the public simply don't know about as to what the issue might have been or whatever the thing actually is. In total, there were 8 applications, and as far as we know right now, 3 seem to be okay for the go-ahead. Once again, BlackRock, Van Eck, and Franklin Templeton. That is not to say that by the time we get to Thursday or Friday or maybe even Monday, that all 8 of them might then also be approved as well. A large portion of this news comes from someone called Eric Balchunas. He's a senior ETF analyst at Bloomberg who usually has given us pretty good news before, very accurate news when it comes to a lot of this. He said, and I quote, hearing SEC finally gotten back to issuers today, asking them to return final S1s on Wednesday, including fees. Of course, there's fees. The SEC needs their money. And then request effectiveness on Monday after close for a Tuesday, 23rd of July launch. This is provided no unforeseeable last-minute issues, of course. So that is to say, as of right now, the news that we're getting, I'm sure you're also noticing it as well in the market. Everyone's quite optimistic. Prices are going back up. The news that we have right now at the time of me making this video is that the market has bottomed. We witnessed it before. The market went as low as it was possibly going to go, and we're kind of on the up and up. There will always be choppy moments, if you will, as we've foreseen before many other times within this space. However, if you weren't here the last like 2 or 3 months, analysts were normally saying that they were optimistic about the space and prices. However, they believed that we had more choppiness ahead. Now that a lot of the choppiness has kind of faded or disappeared, or we like really went down and started swooping back up, people believe that we are on the cusp of, no one knows of, brand new all-time highs in the relative near future. A lot of the current predictions that we're getting are for around September and October to be this is once again, these are the predictions, to be well above the previous all-time highs. The idea for the Ethereum ETFs is quite staggering. I'll give you the entire spectrum. People believe that the Ethereum market is going to do incredibly well. Bitcoin they both have huge amounts of liquidity. They're both like very liquid assets. But Bitcoin is far more liquid, and also you need a lot more money to have any kind of price movements with Bitcoin. The idea is, as Ethereum has a lower market cap, high liquidity, but it doesn't take as much money to move its price, that any major inflows we might see to the Ethereum ETFs will have a staggeringly positive effect on prices. So I've seen a couple. I don't have the numbers here. It's just more off the top of my head. People are predicting that if we get the Ethereum, here's the timeline. If we get the Ethereum ETFs to launch, we are likely going to have a situation where no one knows for certain. No one knows that for the first week or two, we might actually see a dip in price. I was looking around to see if people were predicting some kind of a sell the news kind of event. People always think that they can sell the news and time the market. The predictions is that here we go again. Grayscale has a lot of Ether, and if they get approved, they might have to swap their Ether fund into an Ether ETF, the same way that they did for the Bitcoin one, and they might begin to liquidate a lot of their Ether as well. This is the idea if they get approved. If not, the idea basically is, for those of you who also missed a couple of hundreds of videos at this point, the amount of Ether on exchanges is less than 1 out of every 10 coins is gone. 90% of Ether supply is not on exchanges. I think 33+% of Ether is now also staked inside of the network. That's the most recent news that we got. There's not a lot of Ether left. If this gets approved and we start seeing massive buys of Ether, it'll be a lot easier. And I mean, from the standpoint of, we saw Bitcoin's price rising by 12-15% over the course of a week. It'll be far easier to do that and have these like 33% price increases for Ethereum at the same time. There's a lot of expectation. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of like energy floating around it, simply because Ethereum is currently the altcoin king. If Ethereum does well, altcoins do extremely well. As I've seen in the last like 2 or 3 days, you see prices really pushing up. And if we get this actual approval, this is going to, like, this is it. This is the moment that we've kind of been waiting for, and it makes the last 3 months worth it. I'm air quoting because the last 3 months have been kind of rough on the market. But that's the expectation for right now. Of course, we will get more news as we move closer, but Eric Balchunas has done a pretty good job before with his readings and assessments of everything. He's one of the first people who told us before he wrote on Twitter in January, he's like, it's a done deal. Like, we already have the Bitcoin ETFs, and everyone was like, we don't have anything. He's like, no, like it's done. It's going to happen. Yeah. I do hope you've all enjoyed. It is a very particular time for the cryptocurrency market right now. This expectation has been growing for a while. I'm pretty sure you've all been there as well. Everyone's expecting prices to go up. Prices are currently doing really well. If we get this actual approval, especially as a lot of the other fear that was pushed into the market the last couple of weeks has seemingly dissipated. Remember all the things I told you not to be afraid about, that everyone was like telling you to be afraid about, and then people ended up selling their coins and now they're trying to buy them back again at a higher price. Yeah, you never had to be afraid. The only thing you ever, now hear me and hear me good. The only thing you ever have to really be afraid about in this market is if we stop seeing new people enter the market. So you know how we have the metrics like there's 100,000 new Bitcoin addresses today. There's 38,000 new Ethereum addresses. If those numbers fall to like hundreds, worry. If we see that the amount of money flowing through the market drops to 7% of what it currently is, that's when you worry. We have a very robust market. We have a very strong market. We have a very liquid market. But I think fear sells, and I think a lot of people just want you to kind of be afraid for whatever reason. Maybe they have terrible lives. I'm not really sure what the answer is. Yeah. That's we might by next Tuesday already have Ethereum ETFs active within the US of A. I do hope you've all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for, there we go, liking, listening, commenting, and supporting. I couldn't remember the phrase anymore. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.